said that he was going to launch his own version of Obamacare if elected president. Of course, it was going to be significantly scaled back. His version was just going to be Marcello and Michael Torr passing out Chris Smith's cough drops at meetings. So, still a big deal. He also, Will went to the trouble of commissioning a song, campaign theme song, which is called ANWLTOIG, also known as Ain't No Whistle Like the One I Got. And, you know, I asked Will earlier what he thought of his chances, and he said, I'll just say this. Last night I dreamed that I was at next year's barbecue, and it was being held at Roscoe's Chicken and Water. Will also developed a poster that was not actually, couldn't get approval for it, but it was an interesting poster. This poster was going to read, Joe or Will, 2 more years of white or a chance for Olamite. Did I say that right? Olamite. I went one too far. Goldmite. Goldmite. Yeah. Anyway, but you know, all this attention on Will. Joe is, by the way, qualified to work as president of any sports organization because his background is so extensive. Few people know this, but when he was a kid, when he was in high school even, he had a visual disorder, and he had one crossed eye, and he went off the track and he threw the javelin, and he was known as the cross-eyed javelin thrower who never won an event but always kept the crowd on its toes. But anyway, so it's an election night, and which reminded me of Michael Frame. Speaking of elections, you have to talk about Chicago. Michael's from Chicago. Transfer, great reports about Michael this year as a White Hat, terrific job. And he was talking to me about the Chicago elections. And he said, it's slightly different. He said, for example, he had an uncle back in Chicago who was Republican. And he said he voted Republican until the day he died. And then he voted Democrat. So, but we did want to take one last acknowledgement and moment to acknowledge back our longtime colleague, the talented and lovely Kat Conti. Kat, stand up for a second, would you? Let us start. So good to have you back. And you didn't know this, but Kat has gone so far in the officiating world, she gets fan mail, as you might expect. We got a letter that came to the Channel Coast, which we opened. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to read it. It's fine. I think you'll like it. Dear Miss Conti, I have followed your remarkable rise through the ranks of football officiating for several years. I have aspirations in this area myself and would be very grateful for any tips on how you've gone so far so fast. Signed, Gary Cavaletto. That's pretty good.
Yeah, thank you. Can I keep it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyway, just wanted to, and by the way, I want to thank Joe also for putting me on ahead of Chris Doste, because he's a tough act to follow. The only person who ever enjoyed following Doss Day was his ex-wife's attorney. You know, Kat and I have had the privilege of speaking at our banquets several times. The first one we did, going back 10 or 12 years ago, was when Chris was president, and it was about Doss Day's diary. We found his diary and we read selected entries, and one I still remember was Chris entered journal entry, November 3rd, 1999. Today, the Channel Coast Officials Association elected me president. What an honor for them. But if you're good, you know you're good, and he's good, as we know. And my favorite, excuse me, Chris Doss Day story, he's working an 8-man game with Kevin McAdoo. Mackin comes, where's Kevin? Is he here? Oh, cool, hey, dude. And Dew goes up to Doss before the game, just before kickoff, and he says, Chris, where do I put the ball? Doss Day says, I don't know, give it